When you look at your roster for the Cannons as you get ready here, you look back at 2018 and you look forward to 2019, what's the biggest spot on the roster that you feel like you want to shore up from last season?
Definitely. I think probably the midfield is where we could use some more depth at that position. Our attack sounded out really well towards the end of the year. Obviously, Will Sands going out with a season-ending injury, who was playing really well for us, and adding Shaq Stanwyck to the mix. We have a lot of depth there, we feel. Defensively, that core unit played together the whole year, and our goalie position, when we brought Nick Morocco in, was solidified. So probably the midfield unit right now is where we have to do our most homework and get some guys.
You mentioned Nick Morocco. He's a guy that you actually just signed up here today, getting under contract. Do you feel like he's the long-term future of that position as Tyler Fiorito kind of moves on?
We do. Tyler was instrumental with Nick in the few games that they were together towards the end of the season and mentoring him along in preparation. Nick was unbelievable in the cage, his last 4 games that he played for us. So we're obviously super excited about signing him today, and we see him having a terrific career in the MLL.
You obviously lose Max Sebald and Mitch Belisle to retirement after last year, and anybody who watched the ceremony afterward and their words and your words about them know that they were some special players to the team and the organization and really to lacrosse in general. How do you try to replace and move on from 2 veteran guys who kind of meant so much to the organization and the team?
Definitely, Travis. You hit the nail right on the head, particularly in the locker room, those guys. And when Max, was going to retire a year ago, and we talked to him, and that was a big thing, was to try to mentor some of these young guys in the locker room. He's the epitome of a professional, as is Mitch Belisle. And even when we were struggling early on in the season, not winning a lot of games, they were really 2 of the glue pieces there with keeping these guys together. And then when, we finished the season really strong, they were a big part of that. So losing them in the locker room is big. But hopefully they did mentor guys on the right way, which we think they did, and certainly on the field, just 2 superstars, no doubt.
You mentioned the offense, and last year, especially offensively, felt kind of like a transitional year for you. You changed some pieces, and Davey Emela moving on, and you had James Pinnell come in throughout the offseason, Mark Cockerton put in there, Kyle Jackson when he returned. Do you feel like you have the right mix of guys there now that you could be happy with the offense?
We do, and that's something, as a staff, we talk a lot about it, is the chemistry and the mix. Those last few games, you saw guys like Cockerton and Jackson and Challen Rogers doing some good things on that side, and Zed Williams and Pinnell on the other side, with Shaq at X. So we feel the continuity is there, and guys played really well.
Overall, it seemed like last year was a transitional year with some of the moves you made, and you guys may have been the most active team in the league throughout the regular season. Is it a sense where you feel like you made some of the moves that you wanted to make, and now in 2019 you've got the group of guys you're looking for to compete?
100%, and that's starting with our team president Ian Fournette and our coaching staff with Coach Starja and Coach Kopacki and Ben Rubior. That's really the game plan going into last year, was to build this team, get together a roster of guys that we feel are in the mix and going to play well together. So going into 2019 with player movement and signing guys and everything else, that's totally the commitment that we've made, and we've talked to each of these players about, is that we want them in Boston. We want to continue to build off of exactly what we finished with last season.
Speaking of a guy you can build around, Trevor Baptiste, what did you see from him as he kind of learned throughout this league and learned his way through it throughout the regular season? We kind of saw him kind of figure out and get his footing toward the end of the year.
He did. His first game with us against the Florida Launch, which, it's kind of a tribute to him, where he struggled a little bit in that first half, started to figure it out, and was great in the second half in that New York and Florida game. But it was a learning curve for him, as it is every player. And he was coming off a grueling season. He took just about every face-off for Denver, joined us, went on to win the gold medal with the USA team, and then came back and finished up with us. So it was a grind where, going into this season, we're hoping, he'll be fresh from day one. And, he's a guy who just wants to keep getting better, and that's what he says.
It was a very busy summer for Trevor Baptiste, a busy year for you guys with the Cannons. Thanks for coming in, and looking forward to 2019.
Thanks, Travis.